Why is it so important to have an integrator in your real estate investment business? That's a big question. Well, today I have with me my integrator,
Hello.
Ashley
Hi.
Babby. She's my COO of my real estate company and also works with me in my other companies. So what I thought, Ashley, today is just we'll take a little bit of time and do a little bit of content for our viewers here and just share with them some, really golden nuggets and hopefully the golden nuggets on things.
Let's hope.
So, but let's talk about that a little bit. So first of all, I think let's set it up. What really is a integrator? I mean, we obviously your position, your title is COO, okay?
Right. Yes.
Chief Operations Officer and stuff. But let's just strip it down to really what we call as an integrator. And we know a lot of people are familiar with integrator, visionary side of things. So first of all, what is even the integrator position?
Yeah, so for me, really, my job is to make sure that your vision is executed properly amongst the team. So I'm the one that will go to the team and make sure that they understand what we're doing, how we're doing it, how we're getting from point A to Z. And then I go through each of those operations specifically to make sure everyone stays on course. But ultimately, my job really working for you is to get the results of the vision that you wanted.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that execute the vision, right?
Right.
To really
Manage and motivate the team.
So manage the team, deal with all the operational components of the business, right?
All the standard operating procedures, all of the CRM, all of the inner workings of the business. I'm the one that handles all that functionality.
Okay. All right, cool.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this then. Why is it so important as you start to grow to look at someone coming in this position? Why is that? Because that's something I think that a lot of people might not understand, but when they realize it may be something they're struggling with, this might ring true to them as we're talking here today.
Yeah, I think it's important, especially as someone who's coming in or someone who's a visionary per se, like yourself. I think it gets really, really easy to get stuck in the weeds of all of the day-to-day things that it really halts your growth. Because you need someone to come in and just make sure that all of the little pieces are being facilitated. So as a visionary or as a business owner, you're really working on a much bigger picture. And I think it allows for that growth to happen a lot quicker than when you're the one that's managing each component of the business, each person, each team member, each process. It slows down your growth.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
And I know that, when it comes to the people side, I suck at that.
It's not your strong suit.
Yeah, and I just, and I don't have the temperament for that or anything on things.
Or the patience.
Yeah, so okay, cool. So, just thinking about that a little bit more on that side of things. So, what do you see is the differences between the way a visionary thinks and the way an integrator thinks?
I think, I think the key to it is really having a nice mix of both positions. And I think we do a really good job of balancing each other out, which is why it works the way that it does. Visionaries for me, they typically seem to be very fast paced, very energetic, very all over the place. Whereas, I like to work things a little bit slower. I like to work things with a more tedious system. And I like to go through step by step. Jerry likes to go from the beginning to the end, and he misses everything else that's in between. So I think by having both pieces in place, you have a nice balance, a good symmetry that sometimes is lacking when you just have someone who is very detail oriented versus someone who is very, all over the place, get things done as quickly as possible.
Okay.
So to me, it's really about a good balance.
So it's kind of the yin and the yang.
It is very much yin and yang.
Okay. So that's cool. I think that's important for everybody to understand that, because I know a lot of people that might be watching this might be in that position where they are the visionary. And that's typically what we see a lot.
Most of the time,
a lot of times you are the visionary and you might be in the position where you're very scatterbrained. You're constantly thinking of new ideas. You're wanting to do this. You're wanting to do this. You're thinking, oh man, I gotta, hey, let's check this out. Let's check this out. And it's always, there's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of things going on.
High energy.
But a lot of times you don't get enough done. There's just not the traction going on.
Right.
A lot of times you're just spinning your wheels on things. So I think it's important to realize that there is somebody else out there typically that's better than you at a lot of things. And that was something hard for me to accept was that, there was people better than me at what Ashley does in regards to, overseeing the team operations, dealing with people, figuring out from A to Z, where I look at A and then I look at Z.
Right.
I don't look at everything in between. So I think that's really important on that side of things. Okay, that's cool. So if any of our viewers are looking at trying to say, okay, that's cool, I really want to look at bringing somebody in this position within the organization, where would they even look?
I think the first thing to do is really look at, if you have a team, any team size, to look there first, look internally.
Okay.
I think there's a huge advantage into what we do, especially in our space, of having someone who is very well-rounded in all the different components of what we do. I think you can definitely go in and outsource it and bring in somebody from, wherever, find them from Indeed or whatever hiring
And we've
service.
had students do that.
Right,
too.
we have. And I think that works really well too. But I think the preference that we've seen is by looking internally first to see if you have someone who is easily being able to be promoted or wants to scale or wants to grow. That normally works out better just because they understand the operation very well. Otherwise, you just want somebody who's very detail oriented, someone who is very hungry, someone who is aggressive on getting things done, who understands the importance of good organizational skills, good operational skills, and can really just put everything together. The other thing is, it's really important for a visionary integrator relationship, CEO to COO relationship, is just to have a really good, friendly connection. You have to really enjoy spending a lot of time with that person because, it can be a difficult dynamic sometimes. And I think that people overlook that piece of it too. You have to have a good working relationship and want to be friends with that person too.
I totally agree on that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you kill each other.
Right. Yeah.
So,
and we still argue
because it's like the husband and wife thing.
Yes.
You're going to get mad at each other. Things are going to happen,
Yeah.
guys. So you just got to make sure that you like the person. If you don't, then they're not going to be a good fit on things. Okay, that's cool. I like that. So, I'm just thinking about this side of things. I think that a lot of times that, people, I guess I look at it a couple different ways. One is that a lot of times, actually, a lot of people try to put someone in this position that's not a good fit on that side of things.
Yes.
Okay? So they try to put them in this position and think they're going to be a good integrator on things when a lot of times they're more of a visionary. Okay? And we've seen this happen with business partners a lot.
A lot of times.
Or
partners.
husband and wife team.
Yep.
Okay?
Absolutely.
And then the wrong person is in the wrong seat, even when it comes to the leadership side. And then it creates a lot of friction on that side of things because everybody says, well, I want to be the CEO, on that side of things. And
all about
a lot
the
of
title.
times, it's all about the title. But really what it comes down to is the way your brain works, your personality, and where you are truly meant to be.
Absolutely.
That's really what it comes down to. And if you're not the visionary fit, then you're not going to be the visionary fit. Okay? So, but, we're just talking more, today about the integrator side of things. So, I look at too is if you're going to build this real estate site into a real business, how important do you think it is for people to look at somebody eventually to become an integrator in the business?
Oh, I think it's really critical, especially if you want to remove yourself from the business in any way, shape, or form, or not be so involved in the normal day-to-day operations. You need to have somebody who can take over those reins. And I think the thing about being a good integrator too is you really, like I said, you have to understand the way every box operates within the organization. And I think to really have
that's a key point. We need to go talk about that
to have
a few more.
Yeah, to have a really, really good integrator, they have to really understand what it's like to do acquisitions, to have done acquisitions, to do dispo, to do all of those different boxes. Otherwise, it's really difficult as an integrator to lead and offer guidance and change a system if they don't really understand all of those inner workings. So I think one of the mistakes that people do is they want someone who has a really snazzy resume, or they think that they have to have all these great qualifications. The biggest thing that they need to have real success as an it's really understanding every moving piece of the whole organization. And that to me is the big leg up that people miss out on a lot.
Yes, and I totally agree on that.
Right.
Because we've seen that happen with students before that we're working with in our coaching.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. For somebody that is looking at bringing somebody in from the outside, how would they go about doing that if they've never been involved in any type of business like we're doing? And this typically is something that we see is when a company comes to when they go, hey, I'm going to bring in someone as an integrator. I would say 99% of the time, that person they're bringing in from the outside has no idea how our business functions.
Oh, I totally agree. And I think, if you're going to bring somebody in from the outside, that's totally fine, totally doable. I think it's important, though, that as they come on board, they need to sit in every seat, maybe not for a long time, but enough to have said, okay, yes, I've made acquisitions calls. I've, negotiated a deal with the seller. I've negotiated with the buyer. I've written the contracts. I understand the way the contract is worded. I've, had to go out and I've had to do the marketing, all of those things. There's no way that I could be a successful integrator without understanding how to analyze a deal, how to structure the deal, how to put it together, how to sign it, all of those things. There's no way that this would function with you being able to step out of the business a little bit, or really on your part now, largely out of this part of the business. You would never be able to do that without somebody who really understands all the inner workings. So even if it's not something they're going to do long term, they need to at least have been on some sales calls, been on some acquisitions calls, and then they can offer that guidance to the team. Otherwise, the team will never respect them.
Yeah, that's actually really good stuff. And guys, I want you to really understand this, because that's critical that Ashley is sharing. I mean, it's some gold nuggets, because that's where we see a lot of people struggle, don't we, Ashley?
Right.
Is, we've seen students say, hey, I'm going to bring this person to be an integrator. And they think because they've had experience with managing overall people, maybe working in a factory, overseeing production and stuff like that, and HR and things, they think automatically they're going to step in and be able to run with it.
No.
Well, they can run with a portion of it, but what they can't run with is how the business functions.
Exactly.
And understanding how your assembly line works.
Right.
Not comparing that to something that's you're making different widgets and you're running down this assembly line. We're doing a whole different thing.
Very
and they got to
different.
understand your business. So there has to be a migration process, right? It has to be that time period where they've got to come in and learn that side of things.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people who are operating with a team currently understand that there's always that one person, there's a standout star on your team that really wants more. And a lot of times people will overlook that because they think they need some cool, resume or someone with years and years of experience, when a lot of times there's someone right under your nose who works really hard and would love that opportunity to advance. So,
well, that's what happened with Ashley.
Yeah.
She was already on the team. She'd been with me for a little while. And then we realized that she was a good candidate. In fact, I never forget this. I was actually on a plane ride with my wife back from a training we went to. My wife says, we really need an integrator. And I said, yes, you're right. And she says, I think Ashley's really the best candidate for it. And I thought, oh, you're right.
Thanks, Joyce. Yeah.
So, so that's kind of how that came about, guys.
Yeah.
So I think that, if I would look at some of the key takeaways here today for me on things, guys, and I think you need to look at is, first of all, understand that if you really want to have the growth that you want within your real estate investment business, and you get to the point where you're maxing out what you can do. And it's not only maxing out, it's also to the point realizing that you're ultimately not going to grow to where you want to grow without someone stepping in and being that integrator position, whether that's you or it's not you, okay? And it's making sure that, so I think you've got to look at and realize if you really ultimately want to have the growth, you got to have someone step in the integrator position. Also, another key component too is understanding the way your brain works. Maybe it works as an integrator, very process side, or maybe you hate that, you hate paperwork, you hate all that, and more the visionary type, okay? Yeah. And then the other big takeaway I look at too is if you're going to hire someone on this, look inside your team first, and if not, you can look outside, but Ashley, as Ashley mentioned today, make sure that if you're bringing them in, they got to have a time period where they can understand the business and really look at each box and get a feel for each box and how the business truly operates.
Absolutely.
Do you agree?
Yeah. Critical. Yep.
Cool. Any final words from your side?
No, I think, I think you summarized it really well. And, I think that a lot of times people don't understand, like you said, the way that my brain works versus the way your brain works. And I think that if you're working as an integrator and a visionary together, that understanding the way the other party thinks and processes is a big deal. And it makes working together a lot easier.
Yep.
We learned that the hard way. So
I totally agree when it comes
Yep.
to that, guys. So, all right, look, I hope you guys enjoyed these tips here today. And make sure that, guys, that if you enjoyed this, give us a thumbs up here and subscribe to our channel. And we will talk to you later.